So, welcome everybody to the Gentle Art Podcast with Gene Dunn. Today, I'm sitting with Lisa Cappiello.
Hi.
And we were discussing a little bit about teachers, and Lisa's a teacher, and the kind of stress and the feelings of overwhelmment that a lot of teachers are experiencing. And her and I had been discussing some solutions, and we thought it might be interesting to let people in on the conversation a little bit and kind of take you down the thought model that we were looking at and exploring. So welcome, Lisa.
Yes, thank you so much. I am so grateful to be back. I love the podcast so much. I had such a great time on it last time. So thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here, and I'm so grateful that we're having this conversation.
So Lisa, you're a teacher, and what form of education are you in?
Yes. So when I was here last time too, I remember sharing that I was a teacher of many things. So aside from being a metaphysical teacher and a writing teacher and a meditation teacher, I'm also an elementary school teacher. So I work with small groups of the most incredible children with special learning needs in Brooklyn.
Yes. Great. And thank you for that, by the way. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
And so you kind of went back to school in the
Yes.
last 3 weeks, right?
Yes. So my school was fortunate enough to open when the school year was intended to open. So it was early September. So I've been physically back in the school building for a little over a month now, between prepping and meetings and then actually teaching. And it's a little bit different. So a big reason why I'm so grateful for this conversation is because I am a person, I take a lot of pride in a lot of my personal practices, my self-care practices, my relationship with the higher power. I am very, I'm an avid meditator, etc. So I take that work very seriously. I have a lot of tools that I not only teach others eagerly, willingly, but I use myself. I understand that my life is a life of service. So I'm saying all this to say it was a really rough September. I found myself experiencing unpleasant feelings. I found myself experiencing fatigue. I found myself feeling very overwhelmed. And aside from all of my personal practices, I love the people that I work with and for. I've been with the same organization for 20 years. The people there have so much integrity. I love the families of the students that I teach. So there's a lot of positives there. Everybody's been putting their best foot forward, but it's been challenging. So
I'm hearing it's a very good environment. It's not, there's no complaints about the environment.
No, not at all.
You're in a good situation. You have all these tools.
Yes.
Still coming hard, right?
Hard. Yes. And I just think being really real about that was the first step. Being really honest about that, not staying there, not staying stuck there. But I think that that's how this conversation kind of really organically happened, because you've been such a wonderful support and friend, and just really helped me through this month. And I've also been really mindful of what I have been doing that has been working for me, with the intention to share with others. And I remember in a previous conversation, we were talking about purpose and how to find your purpose. And something else that I've always known, but was just reinforced to me, was your purpose finds you. And part of my purpose right now in this year of 2020, during this pandemic, living in Brooklyn, New York, is to be a school teacher. For me to be in it, for me to be doing it every day, so that I can honestly share what I've been doing that has helped me.
Lisa, before we kind of get into the conversation, I thought it would be helpful to just identify that you and I were having a discussion about these issues and how metaphysically to resolve them.
Yes,
So
exactly.
I think that like that you and I both are metaphysicians, if you
Yes.
will. We practice
Yes.
metaphysical solutions to everyday issues,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
that if someone is listening and they're going like, what the heck is metaphysics, and what does this have to do with me? Well, I think the short version is what we think about, we bring about.
Yes.
So
Thoughts
what
become
we're
things. Yeah.
thinking about in very like very nuanced ways, right? That we don't even realize sometimes the thinking, or the ways in which we're thinking, and how they're kind of manifesting, how they're bringing about certain results.
Yes.
And even though we don't necessarily want to experience bad results, sometimes it's a little tricky. It feels a little bit, and we can catch ourselves. Sometimes we don't catch ourselves, and so we feel like it's a little too late. So this is kind of the short version, the abbreviated version of metaphysics, and why is it important uh, to take that approach, at least for you and I, right?
100%.
And that let other people in, and they can decide whether it's applicable for them or not.
Yes.
And so I
Yes.
thought that would be a good place to start.
100%. Thank you so much for sharing that. And while the intention for this talk was to help and serve teachers, it will certainly help and serve anybody that is open to it and wants to benefit from it.
I mean, a mom and a dad is a teacher of sorts.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, you know,
Yes.
I mean, so
Yeah.
let's kind of go back a little bit. So we had a call probably 3 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
And you were like,
It was like 5 calls on different days. And I'm saying that because I want to be really honest. And I want people to know that, like I said earlier, I have all these tools and practices. I snowballed really easily, quickly. So,
thank you for that, by the way. Yeah. When you say snowball, you meant like it like got away from you.
Yeah.
You know, yesterday when we were prepping for this call, I told you about my dolphin story, right? I had said that like the first time I swam with dolphins, right? I was in this, it was a beautiful kind of eco-friendly experience, and they took me through a seminar, an orientation seminar. And the woman who was doing the seminar was like, listen, these dolphins can be mischievous, so you've got to really pay attention to what you're doing, right? Like if you don't stay with the group, they'll coax you out into the deep water, and then like who knows what, right? And I remember saying to myself, Lisa, like, there's no way a darn fish is gonna coax me any place. No, I'm not that guy, right? Well, guess who that guy was? It was me. We got in the water, and this darn fish, this darn dolphin started like swimming with me, and all of a sudden I was in this like magical hypnosis, like I was running my hand across its body. I was noticing everything. And then like I came up for air, right? And I heard in the distance this whistle, like something was on fire, right? And like I look around, and the group, I'm like 20 to 50 yards away from the group. Like I didn't even need air. I was so enchanted. And the woman is like, come back, come back, come back. And I thought to myself, boy, it got me. And that's like the experience of snowballing. Like one thought, one negative, one thought of separation, and off we go. We're like in the deep water, and we're sometimes we feel like we're drowning, right? It's like, I can't catch my darn breath.
Yes,
right?
yes, exactly. And that's what happened to me. I would say in September, quite a bit. I felt like I could not catch my breath. I felt like many different things were coming at me from many different angles. Change in certain things at the school because of the way that the times are right now. Just teaching. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We call them aggressive mental suggestions, right?
Yes.
And they kind of argue with us, right? So what were some of the aggressive suggestions that were arguing to you?
That's a good question. It was first on a very physical level, right? And I'm a person that's very sensitive to noise, light, sounds, other people's energy. So I'm now teaching in a space where there are loud fans going at all times, right? So like there are physical changes.
That's
Not in my usual space. I usually teach, again, I teach small groups of children with special learning needs, reading and writing. Intimacy and love, and I am still loving, right? I understand and I know that I am an effective teacher because I love. I know that. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the way that I used to teach is my students and I were physically in close proximity. They're little ones. So there's a lot of physical intimacy in order to enable them to feel safe and open up and allow me to start actual academic instruction. That is a thing of the past. So we're not only physically close to one another, we're separated wearing masks. So a lot of that was just coming at me and it felt at times overwhelming. Mm-hmm. I felt overwhelmed. So that was a big one. Lots of changes, physical changes, situational changes because of the new laws that are put in place for safety, mm-hmm. Number one. Number two, and this is something that I really want to make sure that we talk about, is I felt tired. Or what I would say today is I know my body was in need of rest, mm-hmm. But what happened in September was I felt energetically drained. I felt physically drained. I felt tired. And once I said that to myself and then said that out loud, I took on the energy of being tired.
That's right.
That doesn't serve me.
That's right.
Takes away from the light. So yeah.
So let's handle that a little bit. Let's go through that. Like, so you invited me on to one of your meditation.
Yes.
You teach meditation, mm-hmm. to a lovely group of people, and you were gracious enough to invite me to sit in. And you had said during the intro to that evening's meditation that you were feeling tired. Yeah. And I had said to you, why did you tell me that? And so what was it that, like, how did we get there?
Yeah, because what I was saying is one of the women asked, how was I doing? So I used a few adjectives and one of them were tired, because to me, I feel like being authentic is really important, right? And I had a lot of teachers. I teach a lot of teachers how to meditate, and a lot of teachers frequently meditate with me. So I felt like I wanted to be honest and authentic. And on that day, in that moment, I honestly identified with being tired. So that's why I said it.
Well, thank you for being so vulnerable about that and honest, right? So I remember me going like, what makes you think that is your most authentic self?
That was a game changer. Because I stopped for a second and I was like, that's not my authentic self.
What is?
Anything but. It's a complete 180 from.
Uh-huh. So how do you, like my teacher used to say, we got to start in the right place, right? And then you end up in the right place, right? Yeah. So if in an alternate universe, right, 2 + 2 = 3. Yeah. In our universe, if we were using that equation, every math problem we do is going to come out wrong. Yeah. It will never, right? So it's important to start from the right place. So metaphysically, Lisa,
yes.
What is
the truth?
A truth. I like to think it's truth, but some people, yes. Even myself, when I first started trying to understand these metaphysical principles, that the truth, mm-hmm. It was like, I didn't want that on my tongue. It's crappy. Yeah. Right. So just gently
Yes.
It's the gentle art.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes.
so like a metaphysical truth about who you really are is what in this context?
I'm vibrant. I'm full of energy. Right. Yeah. So when I in that conversation, when I realized that, it was a game changer. I'm vibrant.
How do you know that? How do you know that when everything in your day is arguing to you that you're overwhelmed and that like, oh my gosh, I'm just so tired.
Yeah.
Like, how do you know? How do you make that leap?
Yes. So for me, during times like this, during the time that you just described, I had to, and continue to have to be very diligent and responsible and mindful about setting up time throughout the day where I can tune in or
Mhm.
tune up, whatever. For me, I call it
I
tune.
like tune up,
Yeah.
right?
And connecting to what I know to be true about myself.
Mhm.
And the way that I do that, depending on where I am and what's around me, is through prayer and meditation.
Mhm.
So I take a few, depending on the time frame, because I'm doing it throughout the day. So maybe it's a minute to 3 minutes in the faculty bathroom, the private bathroom where I can shut the door. If I'm home, obviously, I can just fully sit and really meditate for a longer period of time. But it's giving myself opportunities to be quiet and to be still so
Mhm.
that I can feel that presence.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's a verbal reminder. Sometimes I need to remind myself with my own words.
Mhm.
Positive affirmations have been, I mean, I have loved them for a very long time, but they have been a really essential part of my practice as of late. Um, Something really exciting that I know that we are both going to share soon is that um, I have been listening to the positive affirmations that I recorded in my own voice
Mhm.
that I'm going to be sharing soon. I have been listening to the positive affirmations that you have recorded in your voice. But positive affirmations serve as reminders to me about the truth of me.
Mhm.
So that was a long answer, but the short answer
No,
is
no, no, no. It-
stillness, prayer, meditation, positive affirmations.
one of the definitions of prayer that I like that
Mhm.
didn't kind of offend me was just prayer is knowing the at one ment. We're at one. We could never be separated from the divine source, the
Yes.
divine mind, the infinite universe that I like to say is love.
Yeah.
I like to use that word a lot.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so some of the qualities uh, as its reflection, right? Like God and man, or love and loved, is vibrancy. You use
Yeah.
that word so well. It's energy and vitality
Mhm.
and uh, you know
Abundance.
abundance, other qualities that are universal and infinite. They don't have an end point. They're full forever, if you
Mhm.
will. Patience, forgiveness, these qualities that we are just they're innately natural to us,
Right.
right?
Right.
And that's kind of how I think about getting centered, if you will,
Yes.
right? To know, to kind of excuse me, to kind of armor up, if you will,
Yeah.
and sharpen the sword
Yes.
to cut through all of this negativity that is constantly coming at us,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
So you said game changer. I don't think you're over there playing games with those kids, but I get what you mean.
I mean, I am playing games with the kids. I'm playing games
Yes,
with the
yes,
kids for today,
that's true.
actually.
That's true. That's
Yes, yes.
true.
But I know what you mean.
So,
It was, yeah.
but so when you made that shift in consciousness, in your
Yes.
thinking, right? That like, oh wait, tired is actually not part of my identity,
Right.
right?
Right.
It's something that's like just it's
Right.
trying to argue with me,
Yeah.
right? What happened? what occurred the next day?
Yeah. The next day I felt, remarkably better. But I wasn't showing up as a tired person. I was showing up as a vibrant, abundant, infinite person who needed rest at 4 p.m. It's a big difference. There's a big difference between being tired and needing rest. So that's something really important that,
Or even maybe just as a discipline,
yeah,
taking rest,
yeah,
right? Like it's rest time for me, so I'm going to go
yes,
do that.
yes,
And I
yes,
think that those little shifts
yes,
help us to maintain
yes,
our center
yes,
when things are seemingly
yeah,
there's but and they seem so radically different than they were 7 months ago,
yeah,
right? It's very hard. That can be very difficult for us to manage, right?
yes, 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 100%. Another thing that was really helpful was acknowledging that rest and sleep is a loving act for myself.
Uh-huh.
So by prioritizing resting and sleeping, I was showing more self-love to myself.
Huh?
And that has been a shift too, a really positive shift.
Uh-huh.
I love staying up fairly late. I don't know if
Netflix, here I come.
yeah, that's 12-ish, 12:30. That's my bedtime by choice.
Uh-huh.
That is not serving me right now. That's not
Uh-huh.
in my best interest. And I even had some resistance to that initially. I don't want to go to bed early. I don't like going to bed early. My body doesn't want to go to bed early. So what helped me with that was I'm being more loving to myself. I'm
Uh-huh.
showing myself more love if I rest, if I lay down, if I allow myself to go to bed early. And that has helped me also show up in a really vibrant, rested,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
non-reactive way.
Lisa, I just want to kind of go in there because like what what was arguing with you in that place, right? Because I think that's really important, right? What was arguing with you that like I don't want to go to bed at 12?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
was that thing?
And
The
that was
aggressive
one
mental
example,
switch.
yeah, of I don't want to do it. Like, it was, it was just like, there are so many,
I'm already sacrificing too much. What
yeah,
was
that's
it?
exactly what it was, right? I'm sacrificing too much. Like initially, right? And this was like in September when I was, not I was feeling differently than I feel now in the last
Well,
few weeks, right? I
what,
was experiencing a great deal of resistance.
how about just fully acclimated? You weren't
Yeah, I
fully.
was not fully acclimated yet, right? So that was another thing. It was like, oh, I don't want to go to bed early. Like, come on, I've sacrificed so much. I've
Huh?
shown up. The day has been so heavy. There's been so much coming at me, so many changes. I mean, and you can see how the snowball happens, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I'm like, I want to stay and watch TV or whatever it was that I was doing, have conversations,
Uh-huh.
connect on Instagram.
Mhm.
So,
Or even spend time doing your other work, right? I mean, you have all this other stuff going on, right?
yes, and that was a part of it too, is that happily, right? I love teaching and coaching and mentoring. So when I was done with my evening courses, it would be 9 or 9:30 p.m.
Mhm.
And then I would be like, oh, I want a little free time to do X, Y, and Z.
Mhm.
So I just had to shift the way that I saw that and the way that I thought about that. And just think about, I can still show up and serve and teach. I can still connect with my friends and family. And I can still love myself enough to get the rest that I need so that I can show up in a better way in the morning.
Mhm. I want to touch it. I want to kind of go down here a little bit, if you don't
Yeah.
mind, right? But like we were talking about career, right? Like, and this like this idea that like I've already given so much, right? And Lord knows you're in servitude. You're giving a great deal, Lisa, right? That's not, and I think right, everybody, at least in this country right now, is understanding how much teachers actually give, right? Like
Yes.
they didn't know before, they know now.
I know.
And
It's true. Yes.
yeah, right. So I'm not trying to negotiate any of that.
Yes.
What I'm trying to do is sort of navigate through the problems that creep up on us and render us ineffective, resentful, angry, not feeling well, all of this other stuff, right? So I understand, or I work to understand metaphysically, that no harm can befall us when we're doing good work. It doesn't, like, maybe people have experienced that, and I know I have, right? Yeah. But trying to open up in my consciousness to a little bit different perspective, right? And so I find that that's helpful for me, right? So we started chatting a little bit about career, right? And how we identify our careers, right? Like I'm a martial arts teacher.
Yes.
You're a fourth grade special learning teacher, right? But those things are limited ideas.
Yes.
Right? We're much bigger than that, right?
Yes.
And so how do you see that? How did you see that September? And how do you see that now?
Yeah, I mean, I have known, and I know, I just forgot for a little while. My job is to love. That's why that's why I'm here. To love and to be of service. And I lost sight of that a little bit, and I got wrapped up in other things. I understand that part of my purpose is to show up in the best way that I know how, in the best state that I know how, and serve and love. So I could be doing that in the classroom, at the park, in various other ways. But my identity is not tied to, in this moment, being a fourth grade special needs teacher. It's just not that. It's so much broader than that. And when we had that conversation, I remember one of the things, so we were talking about, right? Our job is to love and bless. That's our real job.
Mm-hmm. That's the only career when you boil it all down, right?
Yeah. So it's like, when I see it that way, when I think about it that way, and I encourage those that are watching and listening to think about that too. What if you showed up to your job tomorrow, or wherever you are right now in this moment, with your families, with your loved ones, and you just love, and you recognize or try on for size, if it's new, then I'm just going to show up and love the person in front of me, and show up and love the person next to me. First, that's the primary, real reason why we're doing all of this. I think experiences will shift. I think internal feelings will shift. I know for me, it's allowed me to just really look at the students, the children, just marvel, like, just look at them, respect them, have fun with them. And it's just reminded me, why am I really here? Why am I really doing this work? It's just to show up in love.
I think it's beautiful, Lisa. Like, may we continue down this?
Yes.
So, one of the things that I study and I'm working on daily, especially today, preparing for this talk, or this podcast, is that the martial arts teacher, or the fourth grade teacher, or whatever it is that the label is just a physical vehicle in which we are positioned to share love. Right? So when we do that, like, first of all, if I may, when you to use your words, like, you kind of forgot, right? When you, in quotations, forgot, I don't think we actually forget.
Right.
I think we get like,
Yeah, I got
another
lost
one.
in the
Yeah,
dance.
yeah, that dolphin
Yeah,
is kind of
yeah,
like,
exactly.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or in the giant snowball, either one. But right, I did not forget I was
Right, right,
involved
right.
in other activities.
Uh-huh. Mental
Yes,
activity.
mental activities.
Right. So when you were in the snowball,
Mhm.
how did the kids occur to you, if you will, or how did the restrictions with the
Yeah.
kids occur to you? We touched on it before, but like
Yeah.
just in this
Yes, it was exhausting. It felt physically exhausting. It felt draining,
frustrating.
frustrating, overwhelming.
So now,
Yeah.
when you made the shift in consciousness, right? That
Yes.
little thing like, oh, right, I'm just here to love,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And I know teachers are over there going, Blake, wait, I'm not just here to love. I got test scores.
Yes.
I got citywides. I got Zoom. I got kids writing curse words on the Zoom messaging, like all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
And
Yes.
these two are over there telling me I got to show up and just love, like,
Yes. Yes. I know it. I know. But what
right,
happens is the experience starts to shift. The physical experience starts to shift once you make the shift mentally.
right. So what we think about, we bring about,
Yeah.
right? It's like, and that's why it's so important, the little discipline
Yeah.
of staying with this. Like I had to stay with the group, right? I had to
Yeah. Yes.
staying with this group of thinking, this group of ideas
Yes.
that
Yes.
never exhaust themselves, right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
now the children, the people, right, that are in your care, right? They're like you're the steward, if you will, right? You're excuse me, it's not COVID, I promise. I'm
I
not.
know.
So so the if you metaphysically, if you were to kind of accept a little bit, you said try it on, right? Try it on for
Yes.
something. That you're kind of the representative of love, right? That like you show up as this loving example, if you will. How now do the students occur? Like what's your experience with their
Mhm.
learning, their behavior, their
Yes. It shifts. It shifts. And not only with the students, but I will say like elements of my day have shifted. Um, Space has opened up in my schedule.
mm-hmm,
Somebody bought me lunch. It's like little things like that. They shift over and over. I was supposed to have a very important meeting on a certain date and it got pushed back 2 weeks so that I would have extra time to plan. Nothing to do with me as Lisa. This has all happened in effect as the effect of me shifting my perspective mentally. So, and what I would like to say to people that are watching and listening that this is relatively new for, I would offer two things. When you make that decision to choose to show up in love, to be love and to love, and it's relatively new, pay attention to what even seems like it could be the most smallest little wonderful thing, right? So it could be something super small, like the train came as soon as I got to the subway station, and then it turned out to be an express. Little things that might seem like, not the grandest gesture, but those are all signs, in my opinion, outward expressions that the shift is happening internally.
mm-hmm.
So pay attention and note the little things, even make a recorded list if that helps. And also for me, it still helps me to take those breaks, as I said earlier, set my phone if I need to, set my timer, but to physically give myself time throughout the day to pause, to be still, and to go inward so that I don't get caught up and, let out by the dolphins or caught up in the snowball. But I need, and I want to just reinforce that, even if it's getting yourself to a private space or putting your headphones in and just sitting for a minute to 3 minutes and just taking a few deep breaths, but
Mm-hmm.
allowing yourself to get still enough to remind yourself that, okay, all I'm here to do is love. and be love and give love. So that's what I would say.
My martial arts students know this. Like we teach this, respiration and
Yes.
inspiration
Yes.
are
Yes.
directly linked.
Yes.
Right? If you can breathe, you can realize more or higher level of consciousness, right? You can realize more good. And I love what you said there, like taking note of the smaller things that are good and actually like pinning them, but being grateful for them, really.
Yes.
I was working on this earlier, actually, like our today's good is the foundation for tomorrow's good.
Yes.
And if we can't see that, right, if we're not recognizing it, and it's showing up in all these ways, right? I don't want to say you can forget about tomorrow, but tomorrow's going to look a lot like today did if you're not recognizing the good.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Really important.
Yes. And it's just reminding me too, how powerful a gratitude practice is now more than ever. It's always been incredibly powerful, but I know it's a practice that both of us have, where there is time every day, sometimes multiple times a day, actually throughout the day. But I have aside from feeling gratitude moment to moment throughout the day, I have a designated practice, I know you do too, where I am thinking about, sometimes writing down, but feeling grateful for the many, 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 many blessings in my life. And so I feel like that's so important, because it makes me feel so good on the inside. So I just recommend, and it's simple. There's no cost to it. You can do it anywhere.
I mean, anybody who's done any reading on this understands also that gratitude has a cosmic effect.
Yeah.
It does not just sit like here, it travels in the universe. It like begets like so we start being grateful for these smaller things, and it's a difficult time, right? This is nothing like this has happened in human history in this exact way.
Right.
It's a unique time.
Yeah.
Right? So these aggressive suggestions are constantly arguing, and to see through the veil, like to see through the matrix, to dodge the bullets, is incredibly powerful. Look, I heard you give some helpful support to new people in the practice of metaphysics, right? But you have some experience, right?
Yes.
And so what's some support that you could lend to someone who's actually in a deep metaphysical practice, if you will, and it starts to get away from you?
Great question.
Or you have you're in the snowball, right?
Yes. Great question. I would say start your day, begin your day with a solid practice. And if you're somebody that is in the practice, you have already established, for me, it's prayer, journaling with my gratitude list, meditation. But that's how you're starting your day off. Some physical movement, and whatever, it's different for everybody, but get up and start your day with your practice.
Why is that so important, Lisa?
Because that sets the tone for the whole day. And I will say, I have been practicing for years. And there have been some mornings lately where I'm like, I don't want to do it. That's the resistance coming in again, which is why the discipline is so important.
Argues with us.
Yeah.
Argumentative.
Yes.
I heard someone call it today a bastard thought. Because it's got no real parent.
That's true.
No substance behind it. It's just
true.
It's like fear. It doesn't have. It only has the belief we give it. It only has the power that we give it, right? So it's like a bastard. It has no.
Yes, no, it's true. It's I never thought about it that way. But that definitely works.
Get out of my head, you little bastard.
Exactly. Go.
Go
But yeah, it's It's right. So when I have meditated, when I've prayed, when I've journaled, um, I am connected to my truth, the real
Mhm,
truth, what I know to be the real truth.
mhm,
I can hear the loving guidance that's available for me.
mhm,
um, I have inspired ideas.
mhm,
So I will get, and it may not happen right away. It may happen a bit later as I'm brushing my teeth or getting ready. But I'll get a creative idea for something that I'll do throughout the day, for various parts of my day. But I'll get a lot of beautiful, inspired ideas.
mhm.
I will feel good. And we all know that feeling good is really the key to everything, right? We attract the most beautiful experiences, people, encounters when we are feeling good. So starting my day, after practicing my practices, I'm feeling good. And to me, that's everything.
You know, thank you, Lisa. Like for me, it, another quality that I'm understanding deeper in this practice of metaphysics that divine mind has, or the universal infinite loving
Mhm.
mind, right? The super consciousness
Yeah,
is discipline.
yeah,
And so one of the ways in which it expresses itself is through disciplined thought,
yes,
or like another way to say it is, one of the ways we can access it is through these little daily
yeah,
disciplines. And I know, look, before I started a metaphysical practice, like I had my own business. I slept in my first karate school when I was 24 years old. For 2 years I slept on the mats. um, I took what is lovingly uh, referred to as a French shower,
yeah.
like a washcloth in the sink, for
Yes,
2 years. And my wake up time in those days was 11 a.m. I slept till 11 because I was exhausted.
yeah,
I was trying to shoulder it all.
yes,
And and I think that one of the aggressive mental suggestions, one of the things that argues to us, especially teachers, right, is that I'm too busy to do that.
oh, thank you for saying that. That's something that I wanted to make sure to talk about. Thank you.
And my response is like imagine that you're in a car on a road trip,
Mhm.
and you're too busy driving to stop and get gas. Like eventually you're gonna run out of gas, and you're gonna be on the wayside, or you're
Yeah,
gonna crash your car. It's like
yes,
it's you, we have to get out of that mindset.
yes, yes,
Good.
yes,
What's your
yes,
thought?
yes. No, I'm so glad because it's really legitimately, I can see why, and I've said it, I've recently said it, but even just thinking about the additional demands, all of the changes for teachers, there is a lot of physical work to be done on a given day. So I acknowledge that, I understand that, on top of what's already being done. And I remember early on when I was learning to meditate, um, somebody in my class said, I don't have time to meditate. I'm too busy to meditate. And my teacher said, um, oh, I wanted to say it perfectly, but basically my teacher said something like, the student said, I don't have time to meditate, I'm too busy. And the teacher turned around and said, well, then do you have time to feel like crap? She used a different word, but do you have time to feel like crap? And it's basically like, if you don't make the time, yes, you will be busy. There will be many things that will be required of many of us, all of us on any given day. Um, but if we don't make the time, we're not going to feel well. We're not going to be serving ourselves. We're going to be depleted in some ways.
Yes, separated,
Yeah.
like separated from your most effective,
Hmm.
most loving,
Hmm.
m- most energetic, most vibrant
Yeah.
self.
Yeah.
And that there is a range, or it
Yes.
seems to be that there's a range. Like
Yes.
when we know better, we do better. So like that's a process.
Yes.
But there's no way out from my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
From that, like I've tried. I've tried a lot of things,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
not so good for me.
Yeah.
Smoking, alcohol,
Yeah. Yeah.
self-medicating,
Yeah.
overeating,
Yeah.
lots and lots and lots of things,
Yes.
um,
Yes.
but there's the only, look, I used to say the only way out is through.
Mm-hmm. But I know.
Up. It's up. You got to go up in consciousness. You got to get up above it in consciousness, up above it in our thinking.
Yeah.
The next highest thought, the
Yeah.
next,
Yes.
and it shifts.
Yes, I agree. And I feel like having an accountability, something that keeps you accountable, it could be another person that you're checking in with. If somebody says, okay, let's do this together, let's make a pact or a promise that for the next 10 days, we're going to wake up at 7 a.m. and exercise for 20 minutes. But just checking in with that other person, right? So you're exercising in the morning, expressing gratitude, you're praying, you're meditating, what it is for you. Some people I know that you're an artist, but some people enjoy doing a little bit of drawing or painting in the morning as a way to just connect to joy and inspiration. So if that's something that speaks to you, or if you play an instrument, some sort of artistic expression, I mean, think about how beautiful you feel after that. But creating that new habit and having a system in place to help keep you accountable. Some people like a calendar or like a checklist. That seems to help also. Whatever works. But I find that the buddy system has been very effective for me.
So a little recap here, Lisa. We got to kind of start in the right place, right? So we touched on starting to challenge the negativity that is arguing with us and challenging some of our identity, right? If we identify with tired, guess what we get?
Yeah, exactly.
We get much more tired.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, and then we discussed if we were to boil this all down from this perspective, from the metaphysical, or better stated, divinely metaphysical perspective, that all this boils down to in terms of career, in terms of the physical expression, is love, is just being as loving as we possibly can in every moment. And therefore, we're able to kind of get in the right lane, if you will. Like, it's not the fast lane and it's not the slow lane. Yeah. It's the most efficient lane. Yeah. Right? Like, it's the kind of best way to do it. Yeah. Right?
And then when you're in that lane, when you're walking in that lane or driving in that lane, then you will experience people and you will encounter experiences that feel good to you. Yeah, they will just continuously show up. Yeah.
More and more, by the way. And then we discussed being grateful for those people and things, and that how the good today that we realize, that we recognize, that we are acknowledging and grateful for, sets the foundation for the good tomorrow. Right? And then we discussed that really this is like, what this is a disciplined practice. And that if you don't want to be disciplined, right? Like, I want to re-say that, right? If it's arguing to you, because I think it's natural for us to be disciplined. It's really part of that identity, like to consider what's in the way. Yeah. And to set a little goal and have a buddy. Yeah. And do it for 10 days and then see for yourself if it works.
Yes.
And I know you and I have a kind of relationship. And if you're a more experienced practitioner, having accountability is very, very important. Like going like, wait a second, you know who I really am, and I'm feeling this way. What do you think?
Yeah. And that was also something that I experienced recently, being vulnerable with the right people, but trusting that you can kind of out yourself and out this. It's not the truth. I know that it's not the truth of who I am, but kind of speaking that and sharing that with to someone that will help me move past that.
Yeah, I would suggest that, um, look, I was reading recently about toxic positivity.
Hmm. Interesting.
It's like someone who's so positive that they're denying another person their feelings.
Yeah.
And I think it's important. You touched on it earlier, right? Like you got to acknowledge
Yes.
what's going on
Yes.
in order for us to treat it, to handle it.
Yes. Yes.
But at some point, if you're constantly rehearsing the negativity, you gotta stop.
For sure.
You have to like, if you're not getting to the place where you're going, okay, like what's my next highest thought? How do I get above this? And you're just stuck. There's something there, there's an issue, right? And so your buddy, in quotations,
Yeah.
if they're commiserating,
Right.
that's not the guy or girl you want
Right.
in your, it feels good.
Right.
Feels good.
Temporarily it feels good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like a shot of bourbon. It
Yeah, exactly.
temporarily
Or like a big cheeseburger, it's like it feels good at the moment.
right?
But right. It's after that, after you allow yourself to feel it and acknowledge it, and it's okay, right? In a day or two, it's feel your feelings. I mean, that's an important part for those feelings to move through you. We don't want anything to get stuck inside. Feel your feelings, but then if on your own it's a bit too challenging, or you're finding you're just needing a little bit of assistance, then you reach out to that trusted person and just say,
Or you can reach out to one of us.
for sure, for sure,
Mhm.
for sure. We'd be happy to be there and to help. It's imperative. It's been something that's been really necessary for me, and for you as a person, for me to be able to say, you know what, right? I'm not perfect. I acknowledge that I'm not perfect. I have all this training. I take pride in the work, and I still need help. And here's what it is.
Mhm. Or maybe I am perfect spiritually,
Mhm.
metaphysically, and I don't feel that way now. What in the world is going on?
That's very true.
And I need to get a handle on that.
Yeah.
If I want to be really loving and really effective and to have a better experience, especially now. Especially now. I mean, we got flies on politicians' heads.
I know. You really can't make it up.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I mean,
I know.
So, Lisa, before we wrap up, tell me. I know you got some good things in the works for the people that are, that are in your care, right? That are your students, and
Yes.
that you've taken on the stewardship role, right?
Yes.
So what are a couple of things that you're working on that are coming sort of down, if you will, the pipe
Yes.
for people to enjoy?
Yes. So the course is beginning on Tuesday, October 13th. It's a 4-week course. It's a meditation and writing combination class. So it's an opportunity to relax, to unwind, to really connect to that loving presence, and then to also creatively write, to journal write, to work on an existing writing project. So that's happening soon. I'm also teaching a meditations to keep in your backpack workshop. That's also going to be happening late October. So I'll post that date also. Great for teachers, but just great for people in the world. So we can share a few meditation techniques that people can do wherever. And then there will be positive affirmation meditation tracks released really soon from the both of us, which is so exciting.
Yes, yes, very inspiring.
Yeah.
Well, Lisa, thank you. I just want to say, like, for the teachers out there, you had been urging me to have a discussion so that you could, or we could, help alleviate some of this pressure that does not seem to be letting up. In fact, it appears to be getting even more hectic. And, I saw that as a loving act, that was far beyond just your present circumstance, right? You wanted to like really make a difference. And I love you for that, Lisa. I think that you're really an extraordinary example of what's possible for us. You're loving and caring, and I think you take that really very, I don't want to say seriously enough, but you know what I mean. Like that's
Yes.
what you're
Thank you.
what you're up to in the world. And
Thank you.
thank you, Lisa. Thank you
I
for
appreciate
sharing your time. And
Thank you. Thank you for this platform. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for everything that you have helped me with, especially recently, but also that you've shared today that I know is going to help so many people, teachers, and just people in the world right now. So thank you so much. I love you very much, and I'm very grateful for you.
love you, Lisa.